stupid question.
So, Hollywood, you have been put on notice. Continuation of our conversation. This time, it's time to get critical and negative. Just an entire episode of bagging on Hollywood. You guys ready for this?
Baby. Yes.
All over it.
So, we will now dive into what is, in fact, the worst or most disappointing sequel of all time. So let's jump into that.
Question.
Only stupid questions.
No, I won my fantasy football week this week
How'd that? Yeah, man. Fantasy football.
did
that's
I.
a big deal.
against manager.
Oh, I got managerless this week.
Yeah.
And
got a good
I'll tell you
team.
what,
Managerless
I'm
is a
talking
good
some
team.
smack talk to
Oh,
managerless.
to managerless. Okay. Talk that smack.
Yeah, man. All I can say is Kansas City just continues to, I mean,
Matt,
you saw it, didn't you?
You need some therapy.
Well,
you
that's
are
true.
just so.
What does that have to do with this, though?
You were just so hateful. Like, you were triggered by anything Kansas City. And I think you have a deep down issue from child, because it's not just Kansas City. You hate the Utes.
It is.
You
It's
hate
the red.
Kansas City.
It's the color red. It must be.
Red
Do you
ticks
hate
me off
Elmo?
too, man.
Yeah, actually.
Not Elmo. Oh no.
Would you ever go
Can't
run
stand
with the
that.
Bulls? Like, are you triggered by a red flag?
Yeah, I think it's the red. You got me.
Red, man.
I just
Seeing
don't
red
know.
again.
Like, Kansas City could solve world hunger, and you would be mad at it.
I would.
Kyle Whittingham could bless you with millions of dollars, and you'd say, that ain't enough.
Well, they've even got
That's
Andy
probably true.
Reid. They've got Andy Reid, and he still hates him.
I don't. Who cannot like Andy Reid?
Oh, I didn't say I didn't like Andy Reid. I love Andy Reid.
Did you see Andy Reid on National Burger Day?
No, he's a big burger fan, though. I know that.
Huge, yeah. So
Yes, he
they
does.
McDonald's sent him some quarter pounders, and he was as giddy as a schoolgirl. It was
Nice.
It was a good day.
Now, how did they send these quarter pounders?
I
Was
don't.
it like
Somebody
through the
delivered.
mail?
Like DoorDashed
What?
him or
Ew,
something.
gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
I don't know. I can't do it.
They DoorDashed him. He's good. He's good.
If I'm gonna get me a burger, it ain't coming from McDonald's. Like,
Absolutely.
Anyway,
that's why I'm never gonna make it in the world, because I just say it how it is.
That's why you
to
want
anyone.
one for president. Is that right, Bobby? I think we've got
you got
No
my
one
vote.
would contribute
We've
to my
got-
campaign.
some.
I would.
we've got-
I'd give you $5 or 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants to contribute to the person who's just gonna be real.
No, there's no money
You
in
got to
that.
be extreme to
no
get
money in
anyone on one side or the other to like truly back you.
There's
Seems
no
like
money
it,
in,
huh?
No money in being genuine. No money in telling the truth.
You can't say I want to actually work with the people across the aisle and get any support, because that ain't cool.
Nah.
Yeah, it's like Brandon says, no money in it. And as we know, you got to follow that money trail.
Yeah.
Money rules, you know.
Always goes back to the money. But speaking of money, we spoke about sequels last week, and I ran
So
across
is this
this
a
article.
sequel of our podcast?
It is. It's a sequel to the podcast. Very good. Very good. Part 2. Where's the camera? There we go.
Part deuce.
But deuce. So I'm reading articles. I like checking box office. I've been doing that lately, especially since we're talking about movies. And I came across this article regarding Beetlejuice, the sequel that prompted our discussion last week. So AMC theaters. Have you guys been to the theaters as of late?
Not recently, no.
I've gone like once in the last
How
2 years.
how much it takes to actually go to the theater. Not only are you buying a $12 or $13 ticket now, sometimes more.
At least, yeah.
You're spending another $20, $30 on snacky snacks. You guys into movie snacks? I
Yeah,
love
I've
theater
taken a
popcorn.
family of 6 to the movies.
Oh my gosh. Take out a mortgage.
Holy crap.
Second mortgage. So I came across this article. The AMC theaters in some states, some jurisdictions, as you will, had a Beetlejuice themed drink. So this was nationwide.
That doesn't
This
sound
was
very
a
appetizing.
cocktail Yeah, it was a blue and black raspberry juice cocktail made with premium vodka. It had gummy worms sticking out the top. We'll throw a picture up here for those of you watching. So it's this juicy, fruity, blue Beetlejuice themed drink. How much you paying for one of those?
Probably
0.
Well, I'm not paying anything, but I bet they wanted like $19.
Okay. Go higher.
Higher?
Wow.
Goodness.
25.
Higher.
What? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
People gone nuts.
Oh boy. So the price at many of the locations was $28.25 with tax. As high as $31 for this one drink.
How many ounces is it?
Let me look. 24 ounces.
That'll get you lit. You said it's full of vodka?
Yeah, it's a premium vodka.
How much of it? What percentage of it's vodka versus all the other crap?
It doesn't look like that, or I don't see it. So
Because they're not giving
90.
you 24 ounces of vodka.
so it's not just some blue soda. Yeah, terrible. So $20 to $30 for this one drink, depending on where you buy it. Thought that was interesting. Never. Apparently it was popular, and it still is. Beetlejuice still doing well in the theaters as we speak.
Well, I may
still
have
gotta
to
go
go
see it.
and
I gotta go
and
see
get
it.
me that drink.
So speaking of that, did any of you watch any sequels this last week after we talked about it?
No,
No.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm way too boring.
Guess I'm the only one. Yeah, it's funny because I've been doing the research and the talking. Google and Alexa and all those guys are listening, right? They pay attention to what you type and what you look for. So I've been fed in my algorithms on all of my streaming services sequels. It's just nothing but sequel recommendations. So
Really?
I've skimmed through a few of them from our top 10. I didn't watch the whole thing, but some of them hold up. Some don't. I found that to be interesting. Terminator was fun to skim through. Aliens was interesting. They had some really good special effects for the day. Just some, I can see why some of those were on the top 10.
Did you know that there was a Major League 2?
Okay.
Did you even know that? Okay. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I had no idea.
There's
I was researching some sequels and stuff, and I was thinking, gosh, I came across a few that I'd never even heard of, so they must have been like real duds,
Well, let's talk
Anyway.
about the duds. So we'll have a
Dud
continuation.
goose?
We have a continuation of our conversation. This time, it's time to get critical and negative. Just an entire episode of bagging on Hollywood. You guys ready for
Yeah.
this?
Baby. Yes.
All over it.
So we will now dive into what is, in fact, the worst or most disappointing sequel of all time. So let's jump into
Interesting
that.
question.
So, Hollywood, you have been put on notice as of last week and this week. We even have, a little bit later on in the episode, some voicemail, some messages. You've got mail. So we're going to play a few voicemails from a few of you in the audience to chime in on what is the most disappointing sequel of all time. Now, to drive the conversation, I found an article. We stuck with one this time. And I thought it was a really well done list, at least to at least fuel the fire here. We're going to Rolling Stone, which you can argue, but
Yeah.
this is an
It's a
opinion
great
piece.
source.
It's an opinion piece. It's a big name. They've given us the top 50 most disappointing sequels of all time.
So
And
let
I
me
like
get
that.
this straight.
I like that angle. Yep, go ahead.
We're going to the masters of music to ask them about movies.
Rolling Stone's more than music. Come on.
Duh. It's culture. It's pop
Pop
culture.
I
culture.
guess. I think of Rolling Stone as like rock stars and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
never think of them as like, tell me what movies to watch.
Right. Well, I thought it was a pretty good list. Again, this
I'm good with Rolling Stone.
We can make fun of it, but as of late, Rolling Stone has taken a lot of heat for their lists.
And this doesn't
Anyway,
include
okay.
remakes, right? It's just sequels to movies, right? Not a remake.
Sequels.
Okay, good.
Yep. So this could be anything from the second movie forward. Anything from the second movie on. So anything that came after the original. Now, this list, again, there's 50 of them. We're not going through all 50.
That takes some time.
So I'd like to focus on the top 10 to 15 with some honorable mentions here. And just see what you guys think. See if you're offended. See if you'd like to defend any of these as well. There's a few that I plan to defend. And then again, we'll get to the voicemail. We don't want to step on the toes of the voicemails. I thought they were really good. And the picks that they made were really, I thought they were really good picks. So we won't try and step on those toes. We'll let them do that. So we're going to skip number 15 and 14 based on what we'll hear later from our viewers like you. So we'll jump down to 13, which is Rocky 5. We mentioned Rocky last week, how much we loved 1 through 4, and how much of a stretch number 5 was. So Rocky 5, 1990. So this is when Rocky now has an older son. They move back to Philadelphia. He takes on a young fighter named Tommy Gunn. The crowning moment in the movie is a street fight. Do you remember any of that movie, or have you blocked it out of your?
Some of it, yeah, but it was dumb. It's terrible.
I mean, I know I saw it, but it's not like super memorable.
Yeah. Oh boy, I could bag on that one all day. It was a stretch. It was totally a stretch. I like the newer Rockies. He did one called Balboa. Not a fan of the Creed like we mentioned last week, but okay. Number 12, Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise. Were you guys Revenge of the Nerds fans? It was kind of
that was before my time.
It's kind of an Animal House type, Lampoon type comedy.
Yeah, I remember Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you get what you get with it. I mean, I didn't expect a lot out of Revenge of the Nerds to start with. So
yeah, and I think a lot of people don't even realize that a second one happened. So they threw that up there, though. Apparently, the writers of this article really loved the first one and were deeply offended by the second one. So as far as how difficult it was,
deeply offended by the second one.
They had some harsh things. Rolling Stone points out the first one's a hard R rating. So that's a warning for you at home. Don't just go pop in Revenge of the Nerds in front of the family. The second one, they decided to go PG-13 and lighter, and that really offended the writers. I found that to be interesting. The jokes were way too soft.
When you're expecting something big, you better get big.
Right. Oh, boy. Go hard or go home. Now, number 11, I'm going to get out my my lawyer on this one. So it's 1997's Batman and Robin.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Stop it.
No, I liked it. And I'm not sure if it was I liked it because Alicia Silverstone was in that.
Probably.
And she was like my teenage heartthrob.
She was like the one saving grace of that movie, but everything else was just ugh.
So we had Batman, Robin makes a return, and you're exactly right. We have Batwoman or Batgirl now showing up.
I don't know. I thought she was great.
She was good, I'm telling you, but like everything else about that movie sucked.
Oh, man.
Well, the movie is cheesy. I mean, it was meant to be. Like that whole series of the Batman.
That's what I mean.
Pretty cheesy.
I mean, if you're into the cheese,
but here
knock
we go.
yourself out.
It's Clooney as Batman. It's... Oh, are you still there?
I guess I got all the, I like the seriousness of Batman. Like, I like all of the more recent versions.
I will agree
I,
with you. I like the more recent ones. I think we
yeah,
talked about
the
that last
darker
week.
versions. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah, I'm
can't
with you.
say Batman and Robin was a complete flop. Like, I've watched it a lot, actually, multiple
I've,
times.
as have I. We've got Tim
Okay,
Burton.
I don't need to know what you're
that
doing at night.
Tim Burton gave up his director chair to a Joel Schumacher. But they still tried to keep the Tim Burton feel, that weird dark. But it's Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
You know who was great, though, in a Batman show? Uma.
Uma.
Oh, yeah, Uma was great. Uma
Remember
Yes.
Thurman.
Uma? She
As
was
po-
awesome.
She's in
As
this movie
Poison
as Poison
Ivy.
Ivy. So
Yeah.
it's Uma and Arnold. I thought it was
Yeah,
great.
did you not know she was in this?
Oh, well, of course I did. But she's awesome too. But I'm saying, like, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger and
That's tough.
George Clooney that can't pull off anything. I don't know. He's just
But-
terrible.
Arnold's awesome.
Arnold was throwing out puns the whole movie. Anything ice related, he was throwing it in
That's
there.
true.
Oh man.
But still, too corny. He could have done it. I don't know. It would have been better if it was a little bit less cheesy and a little bit more serious.
I love it. I still love it. But you're right. So even Clooney himself on the Howard Stern show said it's a terrible movie with a terrible screenplay.
Yeah,
I'm terrible in it.
I
And then
agree with him.
The director eventually said it did not work well. We all whiffed on that one. So even the
Yeah.
director agrees with you, Matt.
I mean, it's
still
not
love
the
it.
best movie of all time.
No,
But
I
to
liked the
be
ones.
the number 11 worst flop, like, that's saying something compared to some of the others on this list of
That
50
was interesting.
and some that never made the list.
that was interesting, right? Oh boy, I still defend it. I still watch it. I'm throwing it out there. So
I don't know. I think the writer of this may have had a crush on Alicia Silverstone or Uma and got turned down, and now
okay,
they got to throw their crowning joy movement.
their own Revenge
know.
of the Nerds moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. This number 10, I definitely haven't seen it. I've barely seen parts of the first one. The original Exorcist. Are you guys fans of that?
The original
I've
was
seen
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, decent special effects, freaked people out in the theater. So Exorcist 2, The Heretic, 1977, has been now in the top 10 worst sequels of all time, according to Rolling Stone.
Never seen it.
I haven't watched it. Exorcist.
They gave all sorts of excuses. I don't know if we should put too much effort into this one. I am impartial. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Should I give it a chance?
it says no. And I say no. And
I think we should watch all of these movies this weekend.
you know what's fun is
Like
around
all
how
50 on the list, or just this
Okay.
top
No, just the
15?
top 10.
just the top 10. So Exorcist, The Heretic. I like watching terrible horror flicks around Halloween. Do you guys ever do that? You watch something that's intentionally bad.
I watch Hubie Halloween every Halloween.
All right. Okay. Some people would consider that an absolutely terrible movie, one that I love. And
I
and
freaking love it.
And it
It's
sounds like
amazing.
you love it as well. Yeah. Again, Sandler's not trying to win any awards. And so he gives us just pure nonsense. And I love it. I'm with you, Matt. I wouldn't consider that a scary horror film, but
No.
I'm with you. I love watching some bad flicks around Halloween. Maybe this one will make the list. Who knows? Exorcist 2, top 10. Number 9. We mentioned this last week because another sequel in this series was top 3. So this is Terminator Dark Fate from 2019.
Wow.
So this
Well,
is
it's
I
too
bel-
late in the series.
I
mean,
believe
I was
you were-
watching Terminator when I was a kid, and then
Right,
for them to
right.
bring another one out like that many years later.
Yeah, you got Sarah Connor returning, Linda Hamilton. in this one. So they really they tried to bring some old cast back. They tried to get you to go to the theater. This was right before the pandemic hit. I think you were surprised last week, Bobby, to even hear that this one happened.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
You were like, I can't believe they've even done one in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, so not. I saw mixed reviews on this one. Rolling Stone really hit it hard. They gave a completely negative review here. So,
I mean, when you got a good thing going for you, you should just keep it. I mean,
That's what happens. You
Don't rock
get
the
a good
boat.
thing going, and then you get a lack of creativity, and you just kind of go back to it for a quick buck. You know,
absolutely.
If you have to
studio needs
force
to make
it.
some money.
it wasn't meant to be.
Lack of
Well, I'm with
originality,
you.
lack of creativity. My wife brought up a good point last week. We were talking about why these sequels and why so many of them flop. And she, especially as of late, mentioned just technology and how crippled we've become or dependent on technology and how that may have killed a lot of the creativity in today's world.
She's probably right.
I thought that was a decent point because some would say, well, technology helps us spread our creative wings and it helps us create all sorts of things, but it also does some of that thinking for us. And I think there might be a point there.
Yeah, it inhibits you in many ways.
Right, right. Something that maybe enables the laziness here with writers. So, speaking of what you were mentioning earlier, how you've got a good thing going, why ruin it with something later? So, number 8, we have The Hangover 3.
Well, I mean, out of the
2013.
3 Hangover movies, this was the worst one, but I thought it was enjoyable still.
Really? Okay. I haven't seen the third one. I've seen the other two on TV, so I've only caught pieces of it. But
I mean-
but it was obviously a hit. It was the number 1 R-rated movie of all time. The first one.
Oh, the first one was absolutely amazing.
It was a hit. Lightning in a bottle.
I
Yeah.
quote it all the time.
Right, right. I think a lot of people do. You can't go anywhere without seeing some kind of homage to it. Number 2, I thought would make the list, but apparently people really liked that one.
It was great. And Zach Galifianakis, I'll just say, he's my kind of dude. I could
Okay.
hang out with him.
He's
I'd
pretty
love
fun.
to go to lunch with him. I think he's funny in all
I'm
the
a
right
huge-
ways.
I'm a huge Ken Jeong fan. Mr.
He's
Chow
funny,
in this
too.
series.
Did you ever
Yeah.
watch Between Two Ferns?
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's a good
Love
one.
it.
That's a good series.
Yeah, that's kind of my kind of humor too.
It's pretty funny. Do you see the outtakes of Between Two Firms?
Yeah, like
You
with
should look up the
Hillary
outtakes.
Clinton or
Those are so funny.
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's
Even
fun.
even President Obama, that's a funny one.
Yeah, right.
The way
Yep.
he talks down to him. Anyway, so they've dubbed even Hangover 2 and 3 as money grabs of the first one. And yeah, it made so much money. It did so well. I guess you can't blame Hollywood for trying, but
I mean, I didn't mind Hangover 3. It doesn't deserve to be number 8 of the worst sequels of all time.
right on. Right. Okay, number 7. We mentioned this series as well last week as one that we enjoy, one that we felt should have gotten more respect. This is one of the later additions to that series. It's A Good Day to Die Hard.
Yeah,
From
I like
2013
Die Hard movies.
2013. So do you like the newer ones?
Yeah, I think you could keep making them. Well, you can't now, but I'm just saying.
Right.
like,
Unfortunately, for those who don't know, Bruce Willis is battling
frontal lobe something or other,
a
right?
degenerative disease. Yeah. So he's
Yeah.
been incapacitated and
Ouch.
yes. Ouch.
Was there a delay?
Oh my!
No. I think
That
he
was
even made that
terrible.
joke if I remember correctly. But anyway, so this was a newer addition, a recent addition to the Die Hard series. They threw a bunch of money at it. Bruce Willis. And this one died hard. This was a hard pass for many at the Rolling Stone company, at least.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's see, that was 2013.
there's another one. Like, does it deserve to be number 7? Because there's some truly awful sequels. I mean, Let's talk
I don't think
about
so.
Home Alone 4.
Right.
Where's that on the list?
Not on this list. It was a little bit later. I think it was in the top 50, though. It was later on the list.
What about Sandlot 2?
Sandlot 2. I didn't know they did a Sandlot 2. How dare
Exactly.
I am
And we're
offended.
putting some movies that are like actually legit on this
they?
list.
You're telling me that happened? And James Earl Jones, rest in peace. That was one of his best performances. Man, he scared me as a child and put the
What
fear.
about the Santa Claus too? That was terrible too. I thought
Stop.
it's like
Don't
you
come
can.
Shut up.
Sorry, but you got to do
Stop
only
right
one
there.
Santa Claus.
How-
You know what I mean? You
The
can't
Santa
keep
Claus is
repeating that.
sacred.
Make more.
No. Well, the
They
original
made
is.
they made a series.
No,
They kept it going. Martin
I
Short
love-
came in on the third one.
I watch the Santa Claus every Christmas season.
I am offended, Matt.
You watch
I
all
like-
of them.
I
You
like
watch all
all
the
of them.
sequels. And
I
everything?
watch them. They're great.
Oh my god!
Now
I
the
love
one I
them
don't
all.
like as much as like the toy Santa one. That one gets a little bit nervy, but
Okay.
I like Tim Allen. I think the Santa Claus makes me feel joy, and I'll watch it every year.
I love all of them. I love the series that they did recently. I'm a fan of it all. Okay. I didn't know this was a thing. Number 6. Speed 2. Cruise
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
control. Cruise control. Okay.
It
I
was
didn't know
stupid.
I didn't know there was a Speed 2, and they hit it hard on this.
It does not meet the criteria of Speed 1. Speed 1
Exactly.
was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a great show.
So this
Speed
time,
2 was...
instead of a bus, if it goes below a certain mile per hour, it blows up. This time it was a cruise ship. for
Cruise ships
Speed
don't
2.
go all that fast anyway.
A speed ship is, or yeah, a cruise ship's even slower than a bus. So Reeves, from the first one, he was talking about that on a recent interview. At least he was like, "Guys, a cruise ship, it's so slow. I can't do it. I can't do it. I love you guys, but I can't do it."
And it's not like you're going to run out of places to go on this cruise ship. Just
Right.
keep it turning in open ocean and ask somebody to come refuel you.
So it won, or it was nominated for 8 Golden Raspberry Awards. Do you guys know what the Raspberry Awards are? The golden raspberries
Yeah, I've heard of them.
for the worst films of the year.
Which is dumb because there are no such thing as a golden raspberry, and why would you ruin such a wonderful fruit by putting
I
it
don't
in
know
gold?
the story behind that, but if Keanu Reeves thinks that your movie's dumb, this was back before Matrix, before
Oh, I
John
thought you were going
Wick.
to say before Bill and Ted.
No, it was right in that era. Anyway, he did 3 of those, right? 3 Bill and Ted's, 1, 2, and the most recent one. Anyway, I think that's a good sign. He's pretty he's pretty respected and tells the truth. Even he thought that was a bad idea. He didn't even want a paycheck out of that one. So, not one that I recommend. Not one that Rolling Stone recommends. So here we are in the top 5. We have 2002's Star Trek Nemesis.
Yeah. Did you watch this? Have you seen this show?
I remember seeing it.
It was okay. I don't know if it should be in the top 10 list.
It had
It was
some of that
kind of
old,
dumb, but it was like, I don't know.
yeah, it had some of that old cast.
Yeah.
Tom
Some
Hardy,
one-liners, you know.
one of his first films. Yeah, some one-liners. I really do not remember much of it though. So
Yeah, it wasn't all that memorable.
it was not memorable at all. That was one of the reviews here that Rolling Stone gives. So
I can
Man.
agree.
they liked some of the other newer ones that were released, but they just they didn't appreciate Patrick Stewart's attempt here, apparently. So that was a big deal to get Patrick Stewart to do it. Oh boy, let's move on then. It was forgettable, therefore
That's how great it was.
this review is forgettable. Hey, so now that we're here at number 4, I'm not going to introduce this one, and neither are the boys. We're going to let a caller introduce this one. So let's hear from one of you in the Only Stupid Questions podcast land. You guys ready
Have
for
we
this?
named what our fans are yet?
Stupids?
Like, some podcasts have
They're definitely
fan
not
clubs.
stupid. They're definitely not stupids.
The stupid people.
They're the OSQs. They're the, I don't know. It's kind of conceited of us to think that they deserve a collective name at this point, but you're right.
You call them
what would be a
P2s or something, preset
okay,
2s?
friends of the podcast. Qs.
I don't know.
Let's hear
we
from
might
a
need
Q.
to ask for feedback. Like, what do you all want to be called?
What do you want to be called? Yeah, what are your podcast pronouns? What would you like to be called? I like that.
Podcast pronouns, baby.
So here's one of you introducing not only number 4, but you're mentioning number 14 as well. We'll talk about it as soon as it's over. So here is one of our listeners calling in.
Hello, the Only Stupid Questions podcast.
Hello.
I am calling in about a wonderful request from the most disappointing sequel of all time. And in my personal opinion, I actually have two, because you simply can't just beat the original. The first one foremost is Space Jam. They should have never made a second Space Jam.
Agreed.
And the second movie that I believe is the worst sequel is Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yes.
Because you can't beat the original one. They should have just kept it at that. So that's my own personal opinion. And again, this is Cody Cotter, a.k.a. Big Birdie. And appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Big
Thanks,
Birdie, Cody, friend of the pod, a Q.
I mean,
are we calling him a Q now?
I agree with what he has to say here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't often say that, and he's losing our fantasy league as well. So,
Oh, easy. He's doing good.
I mean,
he's okay.
just to say, I mean, he's getting a participation trophy. But,
Almost got me. He almost beat me this last week. So that's good.
I'm facing him. This
Dumb
week.
and Dumber 2 was atrocious. I mean,
And
I
that
100%
was terrible.
I'm a lion.
and that is number 4 on our countdown.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
Dumb
bad.
and Dumber 2.
It was real bad. The first one was brilliant. One of my favorite movies ever. Very cheesy. You get what you get. The dog van, that was cool. The date scene in the mansion, fantastic. But when you've gone to that level of humor where someone has laughed so hard they may have messed themselves, and then you release Dumb and Dumber 2, you have failed. It was.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
too
horrible.
much.
That's
I agree.
interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Cody's right
And
on
like
the mark
Cody-
with this one.
Yeah, like Cody said, why mess with the original? Why taint the legacy of the original? He also mentioned number 14, Space Jam. So the
Also
newest one,
agreed.
Space Jam 2, Legacy with LeBron James. Again, that is the one that offended me the most of the last 10, 20 years was the attempt at Space Jam 2. And that's tough, man, because Michael Jordan might be the best athlete of all time. He might be the worst actor of all time, though.
Well,
Can-
you can't
do you feel-
expect much.
Do you feel me on that? Just
feel
an
you.
absolute terrible actor, and yet that film was gold. So good. And then they try it with the number 2. It felt desperate. It felt like LeBron was really trying to get into that legacy talk, and this was one of the ways he was trying to do that. So I was offended from the announcement of the movie, let alone. And yet my kids, and I think anybody under the age of 15, really likes Space Jam 2. Just throwing it out there. I am trying to give him some credit. My kids sure love it. But yeah, Dumb and Dumber 2. If you are a super fan like us, Matt, are you up there with Robert and I?
With the Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
First
Dumb
one.
and Dumber.
It might be
First
the
one.
film.
Yep.
Might be the film that myself and my family quote the most to each other. Between
Yeah,
that,
we do quite a bit of quoting from that show as well.
between that, Monty Python,
Yep.
that the it comes often. And the number
There's a lot of
2.
Monty Python sequels too that we haven't even approached, but
Well, they've. I mean,
those
Monty
got better though.
A lot of people think Monty Python was standalone, but it's a series of movies. There's an entire show that they did. It was a group, Monty Python. So, yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
what a great film that was. And Dumb and Dumber 2, I was kind of glad they did it. Fight me on that. I don't know.
Why? State your case here.
Okay. I am a super fan. I was grateful that the actors got together with some of the original people and attempted to give us more material. I didn't feel like it was a cash grab. I felt like it was a genuine attempt to get us to laugh a little bit more and to bring back some of those old characters. And there are some moments where I do laugh out loud during the second one. In general, it's a clunky script, but so was the first one. So many plot holes, but it's tough to capture lightning twice, and I agree with that. So
I'm with you.
there's my take. Big gulps, huh?
I mean, it was worth a shot, but
I think it was. And if it felt like a money grab, I would have been a little bit more offended. I really feel like they tried. It's just so tough to recreate the magic. And
Yeah,
anyway.
that's true.
yeah,
Okay. Thank you, Cody, for that. Thank you for
Yeah,
that,
thanks, Cody.
that conversation.
helpful feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3, we mentioned last week briefly. And this one, again, it was another one where I was grateful for the attempt. Execution was terrible. And it was Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull from 2008.
Yeah, it was bad.
Man,
Wasn't great, but again, does it deserve to be number 3?
I don't think it
Probably
does.
not.
I don't think it should be
There's
this
worse,
high.
I think, but
I
that
agree.
was a bad movie for sure.
There were unforgivable moments in that film. Completely unforgivable, shame on you moments in that film. The monkey vine scene with Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
What? They stole basically an entire scene from Mummy with the ants, like recreating them coming out of the ground and covering everything. And
Yeah. And any film, and I'm sorry, but Shia LaBeouf,
tough. It's
no
hit and miss
good
with
man.
him.
That guy
It's hit and
sucks.
miss. I really liked
terrible.
Peanut Butter Falcon. I don't know if you saw Peanut Butter Falcon.
It was okay. That was probably one of his best, but he's just a terrible actor, I think.
It kind of fit his life. I felt like he's down on his luck. He's kind of a mess. Anyway, yeah, this was an obvious attempt at passing the torch. They were trying to set up Shia LaBeouf as the new action star within this series. You could see it throughout the entire film,
Yeah, big fail.
and there was such a bad reaction to the film afterwards that they had to scrap it. He was embarrassed by it.
As he
Harrison
should
Ford.
be.
Harrison Ford won't talk about it anymore. And luckily they came out with another one that was a little better as of recent, in my opinion, and Rolling Stone's opinion as well. Anyway, unforgivable. They should have done better. The feel of the movie was there. It was right. They put the money, they put the effort into the right areas. It was just some of these plot points were just so unbelievable and so terrible. It was almost unforgivable, and yet I've watched it a few times, and I think I might watch it again. So what does that say
The thing is,
about
if you're
me?
going to watch Indiana Jones, you got to start from the beginning and just keep
Yeah.
watching them.
Just keep
Like I've
going.
done that. It's fun. It's
Okay.
it's a whole commitment.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like listening to Led Zeppelin. You got to just start from the beginning
okay.
and go all the way through
Let her
to get
run.
the
there's-
most out of it.
And there's a few tough spots in there, and where they were experimenting and going through. Yeah, okay, okay, all right. I actually, yeah, I don't think it should have been this high on the list. I think I'm with you. Okay, number 2.
Drum roll. All right.
So, this is The Highlander, Part 2. Do you guys,
There was
you
a
guys
second
Highlander?
one.
No.
Okay.
They were boring. They were boring, all of them.
All of them. Wow. The first one had its moments. It's
Eh.
quotable. It's quotable. It's iconic in some areas.
I was okay with the first one. It's not like something.
man.
I don't think I've ever watched it like a second time, but
So here's Roger Ebert's quote on this one.
Let's hear it. I
Highlander
respect
2.
Ebert.
Highlander 2: The Quickening is the most hilariously incomprehensible movie I've seen in many a long day. A movie almost awesome in its badness.
That's a great
That's quite a
quote.
compliment.
That's a great quote.
He almost liked it because of how bad it was. Oh
Wow.
man. They got Sean Connery to come back for the second one. And so they thought they were on to something, some kind of an everlasting series almost. If we can convince Sean Connery to come back. Oh,
Wow.
you lose, you
Yeah,
lose.
I've never seen it. I didn't even know they did it.
I'm with you, man. I was a fan of the first one. Second, they kept going, by the way. I think they're still going in some way.
Probably. It's kind of like Jaws. 25 Jaws.
You remember those straight to DVD type movies? Yeah, the Jaws,
Yeah.
Halloween, Saw. They just keep going with some of these.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought that was a funny quote from Ebert.
That is a funny quote.
So it's almost so bad that it's good. So maybe that's enough to convince people to go check out Highlander 2, The
Give it
Quickening.
a shot.
Who was Ebert's partner? Was it Siskel?
Right.
Siskel and Ebert?
Cisco. Yeah.
Gene Siskel. Yeah, that's right. Roger Ebert. Right.
What's Siskel have to say about it?
Cisco and Ebert. Well, they broke up, I think, before this
Over
quote
this?
was given.
It was that
So
bad?
It was that bad.
One of them's dead now, right?
Yeah, Ebert, I believe.
Yeah. Sadly.
Seems like we should look that up
R.I.P.
real quick before we spread misinformation.
Yeah, we should, but I'm sure one of them died. I think of cancer.
They did. Let me just look it up here. So, Highlander 2. Yeah, Robert Ebert was a film critic, so there's your clue. He died in 2013. So,
Oh yeah, quite a while ago, actually.
quite a while ago. Yeah,
Dang, we're getting old.
that we are.
I remember watching Siskel and Ebert like all the time on
Okay.
TV. It was back in the days. I think they had it was like a 30-minute broadcast or something, and it might have been weekly. I don't remember,
Oh,
but
wow.
it was. Yeah,
Oh, you
I
went to
remember seeing
watch?
that all the time. Huh?
Make sure you knew what to watch in the weekend.
Yeah, they gave all their stuff, their thumbs up and thumbs down. That's where that came from.
That's right.
Yeah.
Siskel died a long time ago. Maybe that's why they broke up.
That would do it.
I'm like, I remember them not being together anymore, and I remember Ebert going on with it, and he kept going.
One of the
Siskel-
biggest dynamic duos of all time. The other half
Yes.
just disappeared.
They were both Chicago boys. Siskel died in 1999 at age
Wow.
53. Yeah, he died
Is
early.
that right?
Why? What?
Wow, I didn't
He died
realize
young.
that.
So moving on to number one. Any guesses?
Sandlot 2?
So if you've paid attention to the list so far, these are big name movies. So they're not picking obscure movies like a Sandlot, like a
Sandlot 1 was one of the top 10
Right.
movies of all time.
Yep. So Sandlot 2, I didn't even know existed. So
It's
maybe
not
it wouldn't. It might not make
At
a
all.
list like this. I'll go and skim the rest of the list and see if it's there. Yeah. So this is again a big name franchise that they're making fun of and downgrading here as number
Was
one.
it Legally Blonde 2?
Wasn't that was a recent one, wasn't it? There was a.
I mean, it's in my lifetime.
Okay. Well, maybe they did a third one. It seems like they pulled one off as of recent. Yeah, this is a big name. Think about the biggest franchise in history.
It's got to be Disney. It's got to be Cars.
No. Biggest franchise
So-
in history. And
so
it's not
airplane,
Bond.
airplanes. If you remember the Cars attempt with airplanes, that
Yeah.
makes many lists. It's a terrible sequel. Anyway,
Oh, the airplanes one was abysmal. That was
Oh.
bad.
yeah. Anyway,
I'm going to go with Star Wars.
the most iconic franchise of all time is often Star Wars. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with one of the recent ones. I don't know. What was the one named a couple of years ago? 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah. So this one,
I don't remember the
unless you
name.
want to guess it. So if you
I
remember
on the
Star
right track?
Wars, Yeah, you definitely are. If you remember Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3, when they came out with those prequels,
Yeah.
those were kind of the laughing stock of Star Wars for years and years, especially the first
Yeah.
one, Episode 1. So this one came through and blew it out of the water, according to the critics. The biggest disappointment in Star Wars history came in 2019 with the release of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I
Do you-
remember now. That was
Yeah.
not great. That's the one I was thinking of.
I didn't think though it warranted a number one position in these bad
Interesting,
sequels,
right?
though.
Interesting.
I mean, it was
Again-
bad, but it wasn't like that bad. I don't
Yeah, that's
think.
why I'm struggling with this list because, like, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of ones that are truly bad, like The Sandlot
Right.
2, that didn't even make the list. And I don't know. I think this movie's probably better than The Sandlot 2, but if you compare it to the other Star Wars movies, yeah, this one's not great.
Yeah, that's true. I thought though the first one, so that first prequel, Episode 1,
Yeah.
I thought that was way worse.
Young Anakin. Is that the
Yeah.
one? Okay.
Well, all
yeah,
three
but
of
that
them
was
were
a prequel.
terrible.
Not a
Yeah,
sequel.
Yeah,
and Jar Jar
That's what I'm
Binks,
saying. Like, I guess if we're talking sequels,
Jar Jar Binks was
technically,
they,
And
they
if you're
throw that
talking
in,
prequels came
prequels,
after.
there's not a lot of those to talk about.
but they throw that
That's
into
true.
the lists here. They consider prequels in this list.
They consider
and-
prequels a sequel for this list.
Anything outside of the original film is
Yeah.
is up for grabs here.
See, those first three Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, all that stuff, those ones were okay, right? The Return of the Jedi was awesome, I thought,
Mhm.
as a sequel,
Okay.
But then they went like into the toilet for the episode 1, 2, and 3 or whatever. I just thought they were terrible. All of them.
It was a money grab.
Man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
totally. And it was an obvious money grab. It was like, I don't know. The acting was terrible. I don't know. Just some of the effects were terrible. It just didn't seem like it was even on par with the original stuff. But what do I know?
Right.
Obviously, nothing.
Yeah, this one
Obviously.
still earned over $1 billion.
And that's
as any
saying
of the
something.
other,
That's
right?
some
As
chump
any of the
change.
other,
A lot
any
of
the
money.
other Star Wise. I mean, this was the Ghost Han Solo. This was Ghost Princess Leia, because unfortunately Carrie Fisher had died by now. Yeah, so a lot of bad special effects, a lot of bad one-liners. Emperor Palpatine just somehow came back, and they explained it with one line.
Yeah, right.
Somehow Palpatine returned was the line, and that was the entire explanation of how he got back into the picture. Anyway, so it's just this crazy. Yeah, I totally feel it as far as their hate towards this one. Overall, I thought it was an entertaining movie, though. So I can't say that I'm not a super Star Wars nerd, but I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. I mean, that's what I grew up watching. So
I mean, this is all part of the Star Wars story. So, like, you got to
Right,
watch it with the others. You can't just, like, totally throw it out.
So that's your top 15-ish. We let Cody introduce a few of them. Were there any others that you guys could think of that you thought would be a little bit higher on that list?
Yeah, I was immediately thinking Jaws should have been on there because I thought they should have just stopped after the first one. I don't even know if it's on the list at all, but it should be because it was terrible. Did you guys ever watch the second or
Yeah, it
therd or
wasn't good.
fourth or fifth?
I was offended.
Whatever. Yeah, those were terrible. Those were dumb.
And it's not even like what Ebert said. It's so bad it could be good. Like, it wasn't even that. But when you look at some of the recent shark movies, they are so bad that they're good. Like The Meg and some of those other ones. Yeah, Jaws 2 was just a straight up money attempt, money grab attempt, in my opinion, for sure.
And I said it before, but the Santa Claus, I know you guys hate me for that, but the Santa Claus ones were were terrible. I thought the Disney ones, the cash grabs are bad too. I thought Cars, I should have just left it alone. Just make the one Toy Story the same thing. It was like,
okay.
that was an excellent movie, the first one.
Yeah.
You know, and then they just kind of were like, okay, let's keep making this stuff.
Second
just to
one,
make
good.
money. And it was like, it was okay.
I
It
love the
wasn't like
second and third one.
terrible, but it's like, then they kept going. You know, it's like, just
They
leave it alone, man.
They ended the storyline in the third one with just an emotional tearjerker of an ending, and then they came out with number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, now Woody finds his own way in life. Okay, and now they've announced number 5, and I don't know. I think it's a great example of they are desperate. Disney is desperate.
What about Men in Black? You guys ever see the second one?
The second one was good.
I like the second one. The
I
most
didn't.
recent attempt was offensive.
And see, I didn't even go for that. I
Okay.
haven't
Yeah, they took
even
it
seen
too far.
They
The
took
Men in
it
Black
way too
International.
far. Yeah.
They keep doing that though. It's like you know, Iron Man too. You know,
Yeah, terrible.
that was
Yeah,
dumb.
Iron Man 2
I think
was no
many
good.
of those Marvel films, in my opinion, are just unnecessary, but they
Yeah.
made over $1 billion.
Money makers.
So you got to
That's
keep
what
it
they
going.
are.
And then the super fans will tell you, you just don't understand. And whatever. I know when I'm being manipulated.
Yeah.
Same
Anyway,
with
those were mine.
Fast and Furious is top of my list. Anything after 5.
You
Fast-
made it to 5.
Yeah, Fast 5. I started really getting offended. I
Yeah. Dumb.
I had a
revisited number
roommate
3, and anyway.
that I think he thought he was one of the cast for Fast and the Furious
Wow.
Well, was he?
way back in the day. Oh no!
What was
he
your
just,
What was your roommate's name? Paul Walker.
I'm not going to mention him to protect the innocent.
Okay.
But he had what he thought was a super fast car, which was really a Ford Probe with a spoiler on it.
That's what I had in high school.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
It wasn't to the level of what was in the Fast and the Furious, but he worshipped those movies, and it's like, okay, the first couple were okay, but as they kept going, it's like, seriously, like, where's this series going?
Yeah, it's like
Right.
progressively worse. You know,
That's
each
funny.
time.
I had a Ford Probe when the first one came out.
Oh,
2001.
you had one of the originals, huh?
I had
Those
a
are
GT.
cool. I thought
had
those were cool cars.
I had a Ford Probe GT sunroof, that flashy green. It
Yeah.
kind of looked like it could have been in the film if it was not dinged
Those-
up by a
Those are
16-year-old.
awesome.
It was fast. It was.
Yeah.
Anyway, we all revved our engines in the parking lot after the movie. It was a big deal, that first one.
I don't know. See, I grew up in a farming community,
Okay.
and driving a truck was what was cool.
All right. Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
that.
You had a lifted Chevy S10, huh?
No, I had a 1985 GMC Jimmy that the top
Ooh.
would come off.
Dude,
Those Jimmys were cool.
love
It was
those.
The old
awesome.
ones.
Love
I
those.
unfortunately sold it to my older brother, and he wrecked the crap out of that thing.
Older brother.
Man.
Otherwise, I'd still drive that thing. That was cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Like Jaws 2 made top 40 on Rolling Stone. Godfather 3 made top 40. They were offended by that one. I personally am not a fan of the third one either. So I wasn't offended by that. Caddyshack 2. Did you know they made a second one?
Didn't see it.
I don't remember.
I didn't either. Didn't know it existed. Blair Witch 2 was an obvious money grab. When they
Yeah.
did the first one for 150 grand or less and made millions. So they obviously had to try a second one, right?
And then they lost me.
Obviously.
Yeah. Now, the one that I was really offended at, this next caller actually introduces it. You guys want to hear one
hear
more
it.
from the cues?
We have another
Let's hear
fan.
it.
We got another fan. So let's listen, and we'll
Hi.
let the next one
So
do it.
I made it through about not even the whole movie, just because I was curious about The Ring 2.
Did you hear that?
The Ring 2.
The Ring 2. Do you remember the first one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's let her keep going. She attempted to rewatch it to see why I was so offended, why she was so offended once upon a time.
I am a fan of The Ring, which came out when I was in high school, and it was like known as like the scariest movie at the time. But watching The Ring 2, which is streaming on, I think I found it on Paramount Plus, I was really disappointed. It felt like a completely different movie. Right off the bat, it started showing way too much of the girl from the well, Samara. And what I liked about the first one is that they saved that till the very end, which I appreciate in horror movies, is when they don't show you too much, which makes it more scary in my opinion. So yeah, I got halfway through. The kid is possessed. I don't know what's going on with the VHSs. Like, there's copies of them everywhere. I wish that they would focus more on that. And I don't even care how the movie's going to end. So anyway, that is my review. I would I say it's my least favorite, probably, because most sequels that I hear that aren't good, I just stay away from. So this one I made about halfway through. So yeah, my least favorite. Okay, bye.
Nice.
That was Melanie, friend of the pod.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you to our mystery caller.
Mystery caller.
No, she made great points, and I agree with all of them.
Man, that's at the top of my list. Do you remember The Ring? Did you see it in the theater?
I don't know if I saw it in the theater, but I know
can't remember.
Seen it several
The
times.
memory's not that great.
So I'm not a fan of scary movies. They just don't affect me typically, especially slasher films. Or it's so unrealistic. I typically roll my eyes at them. Maybe you're the same way. How do you feel about Freddy Krueger and even the
I think we've
Exorcist?
talked about this before, but the scariest movie is The Watcher in the Woods.
Okay, we need to get into that in the Spookinati October coming up.
Yep. So let's talk about that later. But keep that on your radar. That's a scary freaking movie.
I think we'll talk about The Ring, Watcher in the Woods. Whatever Bobby keeps him up at night, we'll make that an episode. But yeah, that was, I think back, there's not many times where I've physically sweat in a movie theater out of being nervous and maybe even fearful. The Ring was one of those times as a teenager. I thought they did an amazing job. It was a psychological and a little bit of a gruesome thriller. And Melanie's exactly right. They didn't show too much of it. There was some suspense that they built. Boom, she pops out of the TV at you, and it's just a freak out sesh, right? And the second one, everybody's got a video. Everybody's sharing the video. Everybody's dying. Samara's just there the entire... Anyway, it was... What a disappointment. What a money grab. I'm with her. So thank you for the call. That was amazing. I agree.
Yeah, thanks, Melanie.
Nice. Any others that totally offend you? Again, this Sandlot 2 is blowing my mind. Why didn't I know they did that? Another one of those Utah films.
I want to know why Sandlot 2 didn't make the list of 50.
It might have. It maybe did. I don't know.
I wonder if it...
I just went through that whole list. I found it. It's not on there.
There's a lot of the big names around here. Yeah, like some of the newer Jurassic Parks they hated. Bad Santa 2. Teen Wolf 2.
Yeah, and how do you...
I think I did see that one.
Not take Home Alone 4 and just say that needs to be thrown in the garbage? Man, or is it 3 that's so bad? Which one did they just recently do?
Anything after 2 is absolute.
Yeah, 1 and 2 were brilliant.
Yeah.
After that, it's like, really? Like,
Absolutely
I'll never
terrible.
get that time back in my life.
Yeah, those straight to DVD movies back in the day. For those of you listening, a DVD was after a cassette. It was the little disc that looked
You're
like
gonna have to explain what a cassette is.
I'm already failing at
You're going the wrong direction.
Like, wait a minute, what's a cassette?
Let's start with 8
a
tracks.
DVD came after a cassette, which came after an 8-track.
Which came after... And it's this disc that lasers would show, and I don't know how it works actually. Yeah, maybe.
Why don't you explain to us what the cloud is too? You might be good at that.
It's up there, man. It's up there. Oh, it's good. There's Major League 2. There's Coming to America. There's the Wonder
They couldn't
Woman.
even come up with a new name. That's my favorite part about that one.
Right.
They put the number 2 instead of the word 2.
They were trying to be
clever.
Like
remember Naked Gun 2.5?
Okay.
That was kind of
Those,
dumb.
those were good films.
But it was, I don't know. I laughed.
What were you expecting? Another example of what were you expecting? Zoolander
Right.
2?
Yeah.
I mean, it was dumb to begin with.
Mall
They just
Cop
had
2.
They just had time. Oh, Mall
Yeah,
Cop.
Paul Blart, Mall Cop
Okay,
too.
Paul Blart. Again, what were you expecting?
Peanut Blart and Jelly. That's,
Yes.
that's one of my
See,
favorite
there's some
lines
good
from
stuff,
that.
man. Yeah, sequel. So many bad ones. So many of those straight to streaming, straight to DVD, where they're just trying to crank out content. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you at home. Again, we welcome more messages. I think that worked out really great hearing from you. Broke it up. I didn't have to listen to me.
Drop the line in here, Brandon, for our
Get that
listeners.
line. Get that line.
What's that phone number? What it is. Give us a message.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. What are we doing good? What do you want to hear more of? What are we doing bad? Why do you hate Brandon so much? Let's hear it.
I'd love to hear that. Get more hate messages. I'd love to play some hate messages. What did we do? Well, what
let's
did we
get some
miss?
hate messages online here. Come on.
So
folks.
you can call 269 area code 224-1518.
That
Yes,
number
it's
once again?
269-224-1518. Standard messaging and phone call rates apply. To whatever your phone company charges, that's on you.
Stumbled through that one, huh?
Yeah, it's not that speedy one that you hear at the end of commercials, right?
Just speed it up on the edited version.
Messaging rates apply.
That's right.
No, it's fun. It's fun to hear from the people. I thought that was really good.
Pretty cool. Good hearing
wanna
from
hear
the
more.
folks.
Absolutely.
So thank you for calling in, Cody and Melanie.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Kudos. Okay. Well, I'm done talking about horrible films.
Yes. Just kidding.
Well, thanks for talking terrible flicks, guys. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, it was fun.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Only Stupid Questions podcast. Give us a like and a subscribe. Please leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast.
Only stupid questions.